Assalamu alaikum. Hi everyone. Welcome with another video of Saudi Aramco welcome receiver, third party training, question and answers. Just today I launched one video of a Lotto lockout tag and hold tag, and I hope you'll be getting a lot of benefit from that video, especially to pass your third party WPR exam in any training center approved by Saudi Aramco in Saudi Arabia. So now this is video number 2 relevant to hazard recognition and control. The second book, or because Aramco have 3 books for WPR, especially for the third party students, and number 1 book is all about lockout tag and hold tag. Second, you can claim like hazard recognition and control. That means it's all about hazards and their controls and precautions. And third book is confined space entry. Okay, so humble request, if you believe you are not free, you don't have time, avoid wasting time here, because for this video you truly need a full focus, because each question is kind of a technical question. So instead of memorization, much better is to clear your concept. So I'll be explaining even several questions, for your better understanding, inshallah, to make you confident to achieve your third party exam quite easily, inshallah. So let's start with question number 1. Most incidents in the workplace are caused by a combination of unsafe acts and dash. So before even you look into the options, what's your mind says actually? Because since somehow you are experienced, you're working somewhere in any profession, so why most incidents are happening? Because of unsafe acts and unsafe conditions. So without looking into the options, you quite easily found the right option, right? So what is unsafe acts? Bear in mind, if anyone, any employee, any visitor, any customer, whosoever visiting at your site is violating any safety regulations or rules, or doing something silly, God forbid, or taking any shortcut, you can consider as a kind of unsafe act, like working above than or working above than 6 feet, or without full body harness is kind of unsafe act. Working, not wearing safety helmet. Just giving some examples of unsafe acts. Same way, if you have unsafe condition, the second reason, it could be natural, like maybe sandstorm, terrible sandstorm, maybe the heavy rains, the flooding is there, and that's why the unsafe conditions are created. Maybe it's a unsafe, kind of confined space which is not barricaded properly, or you are or a machine is there where you believe not having some appropriate guards. Okay, so plenty of unsafe conditions and unsafe acts. Day to day, we are responsible to note down and control them actually. And the minimization of unsafe acts and unsafe conditions is a guarantee to ensure a better safety culture with zero injuries, zero accidents, zero harm to the environment or to the people even, So it's up to you. Either you want to memorize or you want to clear your concepts. But I would suggest, as a safety learner, to be very honest, please rely on your conceptual clarity technically. Clear your concepts. Then surely you will never forget, In any shape, the examiner, even if he's going to be the tricky one, he would not be able to play with your mindset, because you technically have cleared your concept. So it's quite easy for you to understand what exactly is asking, and understanding of the question itself, or the real crux of the question. If you can understand, the answer would be there. Because, and since the good luck is you are getting multiple options actually, and 2 3 options already are illogical, and one option should not be difficult for you to find out. So in this question, the right answer is C. Same way, what is hazard defined as? Hazard means anything has the potential to cause harm to people, environment, assets, and business. So anything, it could be anything that has the potential to cause harm to people, environment, assets, and business. All other elements, uh, are irrelevant actually. So the right answer is A. Now, number three question is the most common cause of incidents at Saudi Aramco's failure to follow. Don't look into the options. Ask your brain. The most common cause of incidents at Saudi Aramco is a failure to follow rules and procedures. That is why Saudi Aramco always still claiming, the number one cause of accidents in Saudi Aramco is not following the safety rules, regulations, procedures, and policies. Now, another question is, hazard recognition and reporting is the responsibility of supervisor, co-workers, LPD, or everyone? Safety is everyone's responsibility. Everyone is responsible for safety. That is why, whenever we sign any consulting project with any brand or any company, we always try to implement a slogan. We call it, be a safety manager of your own area. You are the safety manager of your own area. You are the lifesaver of yourself. I mean, how come someone can keep you safe 24 hours or 12 hours a day per shift, right? Or how someone can watch you 12 hours? So your safety, your responsibility. Yes, you need support, safety department is there. You need some resources, HR department is there. You need some technical help, maintenance, electrical, and plenty of other service departments are already there at your project site, or within your company. But still, ultimately, your safety, your responsibility also. So make sure you accept that ownership and ensure all the safety regulations are well being implemented or being followed, especially within your own area. Now, there is another question, match the following hazard control methods with the correct description. This is kind of exercise B in this book. SCABA, SABA, the number one option, isolation and LOTO 3 and PPs and reduce, eliminate. He's asking about the kind of sequence, like if under engineering, which 2 points are relevant to engineering and which 2 points relevant to administrative and PPs. So we have three layers as per Saudi Aramco, like engineering controls, administrative controls, and PPs. So under engineering, you will get 2 and 5. That means isolation and lockout tagger and elimination. And under administrative are reduce, like number 4, and rules and procedures. And ultimately, in number C, like PPs, SCB and SABAs, self-contained breathing apparatus or supplied air breathing apparatus is number 1. And number 3 is use PPs, like personal protective equipment. So it's quite clear, right? The purpose of hazard recognition. What is the purpose? What is the purpose of hazard recognition? Is to identify. The first step is to identify. Even there is sometimes the confusion. The purpose of hazard recognition is to eliminate, because recognition, identification already done. That is the purpose. But as per the database of Saudi Aramco, the purpose of hazard recognition is to identify. The number one step is to identify hazards before they can cause an incident. Now, a safety hazard is anything that can have an adverse impact on your safety. A safety hazard is, so two types of hazards are there, health hazards and safety hazards. So anything that can have adverse impact on your safety is a safety hazard. And equipment noise, impact noise, and vibration are examples of health hazards. So two categories, safety hazards and health hazards. Like for safety hazards, I can give few examples like electrical hazards or mechanical hazards. They all come under safety hazard. And equipment noise, impact noise, vibration, chemical hazards, they all come under health hazards. Now, number 5 question, a joint site inspection is a work permit process that helps identify, control, eliminate, minimize any hazards before work can begin, and then ensure that the area is safe when the work is complete. So JSI, joint site inspection, is the work permit process, but not the fake one. Just tick, tick, tick. Make sure you are conducting JSI more effectively, Now, number 6, select the main safety process Saudi Aramco uses to identify hazards, to avoid incidents. What are the safety processes Saudi Aramco have? Like they have safety observation checklist, they have joint site inspection, work permit system, and hazard analysis checklist. So all answers are correct. So E is the right answer. Now, in this book, exercise C is why do you wear safety shoes, harnesses, and lanyard? Of course, to prevent slip, slips, and fall. What indicates an area has a noise hazard requiring earplugs or ear muffs to be worn? Hearing protection required signs are present in the area. Mechanical energy can be hazardous if it does not have adequate guarding, if it does not have adequate guarding. So any moving part on the machine must be guarded. Now select a method used to protect people on ground from tools and equipment falling from elevated areas. So what we're going to do, installing barricades and signs to keep people away. Now, what is the maximum wind speed limit for crane lifts? Man basket and for work on scaffold, 32 for crane, man basket maximum 25 km per hour and scaffolding 65 km per hour. So what he's doing in this question is confusing with other options like crane 25, man basket. No, you need to remember some of the information. Surely you have to remember, right? Like crane maximum 32 as per Saudi Aramco and man basket 25 and scaffold 65. Now let him play with tricky options, the rest of the others actually. But you just need to remember C32, M25, and S65. Now, when entering areas where H2S, the terrible monster or kind of poisonous gas, concentrations are equal to or above 10 ppm, testing for H2S, there is any indication of equipment failure or product leak or entering a confined space containing so liquids or so gases, you must wear what? Of course, we need to wear SCBR server, like supplied air breathing apparatus or self-contained breathing apparatus. Now, what will happen if the confined space is not properly isolated? What will happen? Of course, flammable, toxic, or hazardous gases could enter by accident. No, in this book, exercise D is identify the proper angle to set a ladder against the wall before climbing. Like, so make sure the ladder's angle is 75 degree and 4:1 ratio, okay, slope ratio. Now, what must be installed on every scaffold? Make sure a safe means of access. What must be installed on every scaffold? The answer is D, a safe means of access. Now, of course, barricade and warning signs must also be there, but bear in mind, the first thing is a safe means of access. Now, what is used to tell people to keep away from a scaffold? Barricades and warning signs. What is used to tell people to keep away from a scaffold? So this is the right way, like barricades and warning signs. So in the previous question, barricades and warning signs can also be here, but the first thing is a safe means of access. Now, what are some of the basic safety checks that should be made before accessing scaffold materials? Must be good condition, no leaning, no evidence of collision damage, no gaps in the plank. So all of the above, like toe boards are fitted, but the height of the toe board as per Saudi Aramco must be 4-inch minimum. Okay. And no gaps in the planks. If gap is unavoidable, it shouldn't be more than 1 inch. Now, number 5 question of this exercise in the scaffold tag process, the red tag means what? No access except scaffold is erectors or dismantles. So red tag means nobody is authorized to go there except the erectors or dismantlers. Now, another exercise E is the question is identify a major hazard when using heavy equipment in an operating area. So the machine could hit and damage people or equipment. That is number 1. Okay, the right one, the machine could hit and damage people or equipment. What should be done if a heavy equipment operator certificate expired yesterday? Don't allow. Prevent the operator from using the equipment. We are working with Saudi Aramco, so no compromise on safety, quality, and credibility. Now, which two things must be checked before operating heavy equipment? What your mind and logic says, we must check operator certification and safe clearance from equipment. Now, which of the following must be checked before issuing a work permit to operate a crane in an area operating area? The lift plan or operator certificate, both are critically important. Another question, what must be checked before a man lift basket can be used? Inspection sticker and lift plan. What must be checked before a man lift basket can be used? So the number one is make sure the third-party inspection sticker is there and lift plan is also available. Now exercise F, what should be done before a backhoe can dig an excavation in a hydrocarbon process area? Locate and mark all underground equipment and cables. That is why we use cable detectors, or metal detectors, or sometimes hand dinging, but we surely make sure and mark all underground equipment and cables. And sometimes we, it's really hard to get sometimes drawings from Saudi Aramco, but if we have drawings, already the allocated points are there, make sure they're well marked as per the locations. Now, what does shoring, benching, and sloping refer to? Preventing excavation collapse. If you truly want to avoid or prevent any excavation collapse, surely we need to put some kind of shoring, benching, or sloping methods to be implemented. Now, what precaution must men take before they work in an excavation? Check shoring, benching, or sloping is in place. Which precaution should be taken to make sure people cannot accidentally fall in excavation? Install barricades and warning signs, so then you can avoid people to fall down into the excavated area. Why is it important to keep heavy equipment, sand, rock, or other debris away from the edge? So it shouldn't go back again, to keep the weight from caving in the excavation. Now, excavating machines are not allowed to operate closer than how many meters from the nearest underground has a 3-meter minimum. Otherwise, if you have other heavy equipments, you have to consider the depth. Like if 20 feet depth is there, keep 20 feet away the heavy equipments. But if you have scaffolding and the depth is of excavation or trench is 20 feet, so you need to erect your scaffolding 30 feet away. So 1.5 times, right? Away from the edge of the excavation. Now, why it is unsafe to operate internal combustion engines near excavation? Because toxic exhaust fumes can build up in the excavation. How can you control the hazards of underground cables or utilities before starting any excavation? So all answers are correct. You need to identify and mark cables and services before digging. That is number one. Use cable drawings and plans, and also cable locating devices. Safe digging practice. Last 3 meters by hand, and all answers. So all answers, because all steps are good enough. Now, true or false, the heavy equipment is parked as close to the excavation as a deep. For example, if the trench is 10 feet deep, you park 10 feet away. True. How close to the edge of the excavation can heavy equipment is parked? Minimum 3.1 meter. Don't be confused with 1.2 meter, 3 meter. Now, exercise G, why is it mandatory that asbestos material be kept wet with water? Because asbestos, if you don't use wet methods, it can go back into the air and inhale. So, and asbestos, the problem with the once gone into the lungs, they will penetrate. It's hard to get them out. Maybe after 5-10, because short term, very few symptoms, but long term, the lung cancer is the source of lung cancer. And that's why we use water keeps the fibers from becoming airborne. What is the distance compressed flammable gas cylinders must have from those containing oxygen or oxidizers? 6.1 meter or 20 feet. Quite straightforward. Identify 2 hazards that might be found when using compressor driven equipment, like damaged hoses and missing coupling safety pins. So this C option is the right one. Why should you inspect a compressed gas cylinder before you use it? To make sure it is safe to use. Another question, identify two hazards that are associated with abrasive blasting or kind of sand blasting equipment. So low visibility and ignition source. Which of the following safety precautions must be used when abrasive blasting? Air supplied hoods, deadman switch, and bonding. Now, what must be provided to protect from radiation when radiography work is done? Time, distance, and shielding is the best strategy, especially to reduce the impacts of radiation. Now, why is spray painting inside a confined space more dangerous than spray painting in an open area? The flammable paint vapors may become explosive in confined space. Another question, identify three safety precautions worker must take during abrasive blasting. Deadman switch is important, respirator, and bonding. No, any word you believe, still you have some confusion. No doubt to go for research. You have to develop research hobby. Like what is bonding? What is earthing? What is grounding? You know, what is deadman switch? No harm to research. Because if I would start explaining, maybe it would make this video too long. And which I truly don't want. The reason is your time is important and my time is also important, right? No exercise H. What are six hazardous properties of H2S gas? The hazardous properties of H2S gas, like H2S is extremely toxic, invisible, like colorless. I call it invisible enemy as well. Heavier than air, 20% approximately heavier than air. Flammable and explosive, corrosive and reactive. Deadens your sense of smell. Now, what is produced when H2S burns? It creates sulfur dioxide. And when sulfur dioxide meets with H2S, it also creates sulfuric acid, H2SO4. So why should you look for windsock if you hear a gas alarm? To see the wind direction, the wind shows the direction that H2S will travel. Quite logical. Why we use windsock? What happens to your sense of smell at higher concentration? Of course, it doesn't your sense of smell and you cannot smell anything, right? What happens to your sense of smell at higher concentration of H2S? Of course, your sense of smell is deadened and you cannot smell anymore anything. What is the main route of entry H2S into your body? Inhalation, breathing. When mixed with H2S may form a corrosive acid, yes, moisture or water. That is why if somebody is unconscious and, because of H2S, don't give him water, Water would be a killing point for him. Now, what are four types of control measure that reduce the risk associated with H2S gas? Engineering controls, kind of administrative like procedures, gas monitors, and PPs, of course. Now, if you hear the H2S alarm, you should immediately move to safety in which direction? Crosswind. And in offshore, maybe upwind as well. Never attempt a rescue in an H2S area unless you are fully trained rescue and wearing respiratory protection. Sometimes I say, especially in oil and gas, already is a red zone industry. So don't do anything you are not trained for, you're not authorized for. Sometimes you are trained, you are certified, but still you are not authorized to do that job. Like not authorized by your company. So make sure you understand what is the difference between trained, certified, qualified, experienced, and most importantly, the authorized one. Now, you must wear SCBA SABA protection before entering the area where H2S concentration is 10 ppm or more. So, SCBA or SABA. Now, only trained person wearing an SCBA SABA should attempt to rescue a victim of H2S exposure. What are three Saudi Aramco facilities where H2S may be found, like gas plant, GOSP, like gas oil separation plant, refinery, drilling rig, or sewage treatment? So, three Saudi Aramco facilities where we can find H2S mostly. What is the most common way for H2S to enter the body? Inhalation or breathing, right? Who is authorized to enter an area where H2S alarm is sounding? A trained rescuer wearing respirator and PPs. Which direction could you move if you hear the alarm? Crosswind. Another exercise I, why is a hot work permit required for abrasive blasting? Because it may cause an ignition source, abrasive blasting. A lot of speed and pressure is there and hitting to the metal, kind of a sandblasting process. So it may cause an ignition source. How do we control welding activities in restricted areas? Hot work permit and assign a fire watch. Hot work permit and assign a trained fire watch, I would say. Why are welding, cutting, and brazing tasks in confined space dangerous? Because they can create flammable atmosphere, maybe increase carbon monoxide, maybe increase, and the risk of low oxygen levels. So all of the above answers are right. Now, true or false, for any cutting, welding, burning operation, even if a hot work permit is not issued, a qualified fire watch must be assigned. False. But to be very honest, in has recognition and control book, you can find maybe page, I don't remember exactly, but it could be true as well, because sometimes what Aramco believes, they have internal fabrication workshops and different kind of, so all the time, if they're going to start issuing permit, it would take a lot of complications. So what they do is they make sure a qualified fire watcher is available there, and under his supervision, all hot works are being done. So in that sense, this could be true, but the logic says without fire watch, you can't perform any hot work. That's why the mention is false. So what are these some of the best precautions and controls to prevent electrical fire? Regular inspection, UL listed equipment, good housekeeping, qualified person for maintenance. So all of the above. We have another exercise J. Why does Saudi Aramco organizations have specific emergency response plan? Because to avoid incorrect or delay response, to avoid acceleration or increased damage or casualties, to ensure everyone knows their roles and responsibility, to ensure you know how to respond, report, and evacuate safe locations. So all points are valid. So the right answer is all of the above. In case of an emergency, you must immediately report what? All work-related injuries, all fire spills, or unsafe condition practices near miss incident to your supervisor. So yes, all the above answers. Now, in case of an emergency, you must follow local plans and instructions, remain calm and stop work, proceed immediately and safely to the designated assembly point or muster point, remain at assembly area until all clear signal is given. All of the above answer. Okay. So I hope this has a recognition control. These all exercises will be helping you starting from D to J as per Saudi Aramco, has a recognition and control book. There are 150 more questions. Let me cover right now here, and then I'll go back to confined space entry. Let me open those questions directly, because that's question relevant to hazard recognition and control. Like identify two common excavation hazards. Identify two common excavation hazards: sidewall collapse and underground utilities. Why should gas test be taken before entering an excavation? Why the gas test is important? Because toxic or flammable gas could be present. So we truly need to make sure, the gas testing is there. What hazard does a backhoe cause when digging an excavation? It can rupture underground utility lines. What's the best way locating underground hazard before starting a dig and excavation? Use a metal detector or review drawing. So these questions, even by yourself, you can take screenshots or you can study directly from here, or I'll be explaining few of the one, like in question number 6 says, maybe I will just repeat the important one, which normally they ask in the exam. And wherever you see the number, they are important. How close an underground hazard can excavator machine be used while digging? 3 meter minimum. Another important question, how far away from an excavation sidewall must be spoil pile be kept? Minimum 0.6 meters, 60 centimeter, or 2 feet. Okay, how far away from an excavation sidewall must the spoil pile be kept? 0.6 meters or 60 centimeter or 2 feet, you know. Another important question I can select, but the rest of the questions still you can study. I'm just going to speak up for the important questions, like question number 13. How close must ladders or other means of access the space in larger excavations? At least every 7.5 meters and extending 1 meter above the top of the excavation wall. Another important question is, how deep must an excavation be before it is called a confined space, like 4 feet or 1.2 meters? So deeper than 4 feet or 1.2 meters. Okay. So maybe rest of the question you can study by yourself, because as I told you, I will be explaining only the important one. Maybe this 22, what is the proper way to remove shoring from an excavation from the bottom first? And who should be assigned to direct traffic around an excavation? Flagman is important, right? So the PPs, I'm sure you'll be quite familiar, but still, let me be choosy here to help you identify the important questions. Yes, why must safety helmets not be painted? Paint could hide cracks or damage. Why metal safety helmets are prohibited at Saudi Aramco facilities? They store and conduct static electricity. Okay, another important question, what will happen if you don't wear hearing protection in an environment of 85 decibel of higher noise? Your hearing will be damaged and you will start to suffer hearing loss. How can you prevent most hand injuries? Wear gloves, quite simple, right? And which type of gloves can protect against damage from rough surfaces and sharp edges? Abrasion resistant gloves, you know. 35, important one. 36 even is important one. Which hazard can chemical resistant gloves protect against? Acids and caustics. Another important question is, what is the best way to find out which type respirator you need to wear? Read a chemical hazard bulletin like CHB or MSDS material safety data sheet. Another important question, what setting should be used when using an SCABA in potentially hazardous atmosphere, positive pressure? One more, question number 50. What is used with the Cascade breathing air system to give emergency breathing air if you must escape or if the breathing air supply stops, like a 5-minute bottle escape pack? Yeah, which type of respirator only protects the respiratory tract? The half mask, you know. Another important question is, can compressor equipment cause severe injuries? Yes, failure too. And what are the two hazards when using compressed air hose? Hose failure and accidental disconnection. Now, what safety precautions should be taken to make compressor equipment safe at the end of the workday? Depressurize the system, you know. Another important question, what first aid equipment is required to help a worker if paint gets into his eyes? Eye wash fountain, you know. But for eye washer, sometimes I say no water, sometimes contaminated water, sometimes the eye washer is in the hidden area, sometimes it's not functioning, like the sensor is not working, you know. Okay, what is a dead man switch used for? Stop the flow of abrasive material if released. Another important question, what is the correct angle to use when placing a ladder? 75 degree or 4 to 1 slope. Why must ladder extend 36 inches or 3 feet above the top edge of the supporting structure? Supports the ladder and allows men to climb off. Another important question I can select from here is, yeah, the 84 number, the what must be installed on all scaffold to prevent people or equipment from falling, top rails, toe boards, and mid rails. Identify hazards you might find when inspecting a scaffold. The platform is not fully planked. What must be installed on every scaffold? A safe means of access. Now, what must workers wear? 92 question number, when they are being lifted in an elevating work platform basket or work platform basket, like safety harness is important here. Okay, and other important question number 98, what are the closest distance men or equipment can work away from energized power lines, like up to 50,000 volts, 3 meter minimum, like 10 feet, 50,000 volts to 250,000 volts, like 6 meter, 20 feet, and 250,000 volts over is equal to 7.6 meter or 25 feet. So what should be done before a hydro test begins? Barricade and signage, inspect all parts for damage or wear. Yes, 97 question number is also important. Who must be at work site when work must be done on energized electrical circuits? 2 electricians and foremen. What is the most serious hazard about a hydro test? Failure of equipment. Why must a checklist be completed before a hydro test is done? To ensure all safety precautions have been taken. Now, question number 106, what disease can you get from breathing asbestos, dust, and may lead to lung cancer? Asbestos. Okay, another question I can select here, question number 119. How far apart must compressed gas cylinders containing flammable gas cap from those containing oxidizers when not in use? At least 6.1 meter. What is the correct way to move a compressed gas cylinder? Use cylinder trolley, material basket, or cylinder rack. And yes, question number 114. Who is authorized to handle radioactive sources? A person who has a radiographer permit. And how, question number 130, how do we protect ourselves from the radiation used when radiography work is done? Time, distance, shielding. Several questions you already have in the exercises, right? Which we explained already. And in which position you have to store the compressed gas cylinders? Upright position. Now, heavy equipment and crane equipment. Some of the important questions we can select from here. What should always be available when operating an internal combustion engine? Fire extinguisher must be available. What can be done to prevent heavy equipment from hitting equipment or people while it is being operated? Use a flag man and barricades. What must crane operator do before he uses a crane? Inspect it. Quite straightforward. Who must be in charge of all crane lifts? Competent person. What must be attachment to a crane before it can be used? Inspection sticker. What must be done if a lifting sling is found damaged? Of course, remove it. What condition would require a sling to be destroyed? Whenever there is a corrosion or heat damage. And what must be stamped on a wire rope sling before it can be used? Safe working load. Another important question, what should be done before using any hand tool? Inspect it. Pretty straightforward. At what volt rating must electrical power tools used at work be rated? Like at or below 125 in G at 12 volt maximum. What does a ground fault circuit interrupter do? Shut down the electrical current and a ground fault occurs. Identify one hazard when using cartridge operated tools. So there are some important notes to remember, guys. Portable ladders should be extended at least 1 meter above the landing surface. Workers should maintain a 3-point of contact with the ladder at all times. The scaffold supervisor must sign the tag for all scaffolds above 1.8 meter. The scaffold inspector along with supervisor must sign the tag for all scaffold above 6 meters. Scaffolds must be re-inspected every 2 weeks or after any alteration. For shock observing lanyards secured at least 18 feet above impact surface, these lanyards must be either a Y lanyard or 2 lanyards sharing a common deceleration device or double leg lanyard. Now keep motor vehicles, cranes, heavy equipment away from the edge of the excavation minimum. At least 2 meters, 6.5 feet, or the depth of the excavation, whichever is greatest, unless the excavation is a stable rock or protected by shoring or designed by approved by the degreed civil structural engineer. Spoiled piles 2 feet away. Scaffold not be erected near the excavation at least 1.5 times the depth of the trench. Cranes shall be operated away from the trench more than the depth of the trench. If the depth is 10 feet, keep it 10 feet away or even more. These are some of the gas test information table as per Saudi Aramco, like any reading above 0% LEL, no hot work allowed. 5 to 10% LEL, breathing apparatus must be used. 10% LEL or above, no work or confined space entry is not allowed. So this is all about relevant to LEL as per Saudi Aramco. Now, H2S, 0 to 10 ppm, 8 hours work, but 10 ppm or above, breathing apparatus must be used. 10 ppm to 100, division head must sign the permit, and 100 ppm or above, no work. Oxygen less than 20%, breathing apparatus must be used. So above 23%, no work is allowed. So normal limits is 20 to 23.5%. Carbon monoxide, 0 to 35, 8 hours work is allowed without breathing apparatus, but 35 ppm to 1000 ppm breathing apparatus must be used, and 1000 ppm or above, no confined space entry allowed. Okay, guys, so I hope this video is going to be very much beneficial for everyone, whoever is wishing to pass Saudi Aramco third-party work permit saver exam. I'll be preparing one more video relevant to confined space entry, and I hope these all 3 videos, anytime, whenever you get time, with your full of focus and energy, you can go through again and again. And best of luck for your exam for third-party WPR. And later on, if you want to pass and want to go for Saudi Aramco exam as well, already the videos are uploaded at your channel Training Zone. You can look into those, and a lot of questions are there, and I'm sure you will quite easily pass Saudi Aramco exam as well, inshallah. Good luck. Thank you very much. So feel free to contact if you need our trainings or consulting or auditing services. You can catch me on my WhatsApp, already written at the bottom. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. And I'll upload the third video also, inshallah, of third-party exam, that is confined percent.